Good morning. This could be our last recorded class for the year because we next week can open the studio again, which is fantastic. So today what we'll need is, maybe some bricks, and we're going to be lying down on them. But if you haven't got bricks or you want something a little bit more comfortable, you could use a towel, a blanket, etc. as well. So we're starting with a passive chest opener, and of course anything that's not comfortable, come out of. So one of the ways you can set yourself up is to have support for the head. So that's going to be for my head, and this one is to go underneath the bust line essentially when I'm lying down. So it's grabbing the shoulder blades at the back here. Now you can have the same height, or you could have that support a little bit lower. A lot of people find that more comfortable. Or if you want something even gentler, like this is just a tiny little hand towel, so it won't be too much. Another choice is to replace that. So I'll lie down. I'll show you what it looks like. And I've got the brick on the low setting. So my bottom should be on the floor, and my chin should be roughly parallel to the floor. So if I had this brick up the same height, and I find myself back, now my chin is now extending a lot more up towards the ceiling. So that's not so good. If I can keep the chin tucked in, fine. But if you prefer, have a little play around. It's important to get the right setup. Work out what's comfortable, because we're going to stay here for a little while if possible. So once you've found that comfortable position with the support underneath the chest, perhaps under the head, sometimes we do like that head a little higher, then you can extend the legs out. Like I said, buttocks should be on the floor. And if it's too much across the shoulders, again, just go much, much lower on perhaps a rolled up towel instead, just so we encourage a little bit of space in the front body here. And then once you've found your perfect setup, begin to follow that breath in through the nose, out through the nose. And just use that breath to create that space in the front body. So we're not looking for a lot of tension. We're trying to release tension in the body and expand that breath into the front. And while we're lying here, you may have an intention that you want to bring into the class today. Remembering that you've taken this time out for yourself. If you're struggling for an intention, maybe just think of, I invite peace, I invite calm with each breath. I let go of stress, thoughts. And hopefully taking nice, long, deep breaths now, perhaps adding that Ujjayi breath on the exhalation. Gentle contraction in the throat. perhaps thinking the word calm on that exhale. Or I am calm. Few more breaths. And when we make our way back out of this, just move slowly, no rush. So you may want to roll off to one side, or you may like to use the hands to push and come upright. And then we'll remove whatever we have beneath us. And then we'll roll back down onto the floor. When you lie back in your Shavasana, that corpse pose, just notice how the back connects with the ground, how it feels after creating that space in the front body. And then we'll take both knees into the chest and just keeping the tailbone down, shoulders down. So we're looking for a really nice flat back to start off with. You may want to draw the belly in a little bit more towards the spine. And then we'll ease off with that and just go into that gentle rock side to side. And then we'll be coming over onto our hands and our knees. So if you do want to set up a little bit of extra padding, then, you know, perhaps putting that blanket across your mat. And placing those hands underneath the shoulders. So we're coming into our cat-cow position, rolling with the breath. So breathing in, taking the sit bones high, little dip through the back, taking it all the way up with the gaze forwards. And then exhaling, tailbone down, navel in, release the head. Just following your own breath pattern. Just be mindful to keep the elbows a little bit soft. We're not locking out any joints. We'll finish the next round on the exhalation. So when you get to the exhale, hold it there. Continue to breathe as we just hold that rounding of the spine. And then we'll come to a working child pose. So toes to touch, knees out towards the edges of the mat. And then if it's comfortable, extending the arms forwards, either supporting the head on a brick or on the floor. Or you can support the head on the hands. Just really working through the length of the spine as we sink the heart towards the floor. And even though the arms are reaching forwards, can you get that sense of drawing the upper arms back into the shoulder joints? All right, next breath in. Let's come up, bring the knees back to hip width. And we'll leave the hands now a little bit forwards from the shoulders. So working into Svanasana, our downward facing dog. So let's tuck the toes, lifting up nice and high with the hips. And then just Nice, easy walk out on the spot. So today's class is actually designed more for preparing for inversions. But because we're online, we might not necessarily go up into inversions. But so there's a lot of shoulder opening and a little bit of strength work with the shoulders. All right, let's just now ease back through both heels, head relaxed between the arms. Feeling that weight distribution through the hands and the feet. And then we'll bring both knees back to floor and release and rest, however you like to rest in your child pose. We just want to give the arms a little break. Now, if you do find that it's not comfortable doing downward dog, you can take the wrists out of this and be on your forearms instead, or you can definitely, use the wall as well. So this time we're going to work a little bit more on getting the spine longer. So we'll start with the hips high, but we're going to keep the knees bent. So just bend about halfway and then see if we can bring the belly a little bit more towards the thighs. Really draw that length from the heels of the hands back to the hips. And hopefully getting that sense of a nice long straight spine. We want to try and keep that as we gradually ease back with the legs. And if you find you start to round into your back, perhaps keep the knees a little bit more bent then. So we'll breathe into the belly. I should be getting a nice stretch through the backs of the legs too. And then both knees back to floor. And once more, relaxing into the shoulders and the arms, however you like to rest. And if you want to give the wrists a little bit of a rotation as well, you can do that just to release them. Now, given that I personally have my right shoulder's got frozen shoulder, I may not be doing all of this today and modifying as well as I go, because this is a lot of work for my shoulder at the moment. So we'll be coming back to our downward dog and then moving it forwards into a plank position. So again, you can modify your plank. If you prefer to be on your forearms, now you can do your forearm plank. You can also have knees on the floor in those positions. This is a half plank, which is probably what I'll be coming down to, or you can do your full plank. So let's start off with our Ardha Mukha Savasana, our downward facing dog. Easing back, shoulders relaxed. And then on the next breath in, start to bring the shoulders over the wrists. And if you find that's too much, come down into your half plank or stay in full plank if you're comfortable with that. But I want a nice straight line from the shoulders through to the knees or through to the feet. Actively push the floor away. Think of lengthening your tailbone towards your heels. And then knees to floor once more, easing back, have a little rest. So finding some good core strength there. So if you haven't come down already, come and rest. Knees to floor, let it go. And then back up. Okay, so the next movement is actually push-ups. Guys and those who are feeling nice and strong through their shoulders and core, if you want to do full push-ups, that's okay. But the difference is they're chaturanga push-ups. So I'm going to be doing these with my knees on the floor. And what we want to do is bend the elbow back in towards the ribs. So the elbows aren't coming out to the sides. So front through, we're not doing that. We're bending back in towards the body. So I want to get my half plank first, and then taking the elbows back. Oh, shoulder definitely doesn't like that for me, so I'm going to have to modify further again. Ideally, I would have a straight line through the body, but I'm going to have to keep my hips bent and then just do little ones like that. So that's my modification for my shoulder. If you can do the fuller one, which is a little bit longer, back in, or the full one. About 5 if you can manage it. Just whatever you can manage. And remember, it's elbows in, not out to the sides. That's the main thing I'm trying to do. And then when you've had enough of those, perhaps come back, release the wrists, relax the shoulders. I don't know why I always choose the hard classes for myself when I'm teaching. And we'll let that go. So it's just really good for building up this upper arm strength and keeping the shoulders away from the ears, which is what we need for a lot of inversions. All right, we're going to give the arms a bit of a rest. We're going to come down, lying on the floor. If you want to have something under the hips, then, you know, that blanket or towel can be quite nice. And up again, feet at hip width, toes stay on the ground. We'll begin with the arms beside the body. And we're just lifting the arms and the head of the chest. So we're going to breathe in, lift the head, lift the arms, keep the feet on the ground. So working that upper back strength. I'm also trying to roll my inner thighs a little bit more towards the ceiling. And that helps to keep space in the buttocks and the lower back. All right, we're going to come back down, have a rest. If you want, head to one side, or you can support the head on the hands. And then if it's comfortable to interlock the hands behind the back, then feel free to do that. For me, not possible with my shoulders, so I'm just going to keep them as I did with the first version. And then again, we're going to breathe in, lift up. If you've got the hands interlocked, extend them towards the feet, so we're getting a bit more chest opening. If you've got the hands separate, just think of broadening across the collarbones. Keep breathing as we hold. You can smile, that's all good. And release the arms, release the body. Come down and rest. If you like to turn your head, turn it the opposite direction, so we keep changing the sides. And then the next one, you'll be pleased to know that we are going to keep the arms beside the body now, underneath the shoulders. So elbows tucked in, and we'll get to push into the hands a little bit more this time. So on our breath, find the back strength first. Lift the head, lift the chest. This is all my back strength. And then on the exhale, you can add a little bit more through the arms and just see where you're comfortable to go with your spine. So there shouldn't be any pinching, pain, discomfort is not good. You can always come down lower. You can also come to a sphinx, if that works better for you. But we want elbows in, shoulders away from ears, and a nice open chest. All right, next exhale, release, come down, relax. And then coming back, maybe to your Sphinx pose while watching. So we're going to take our cobra pose into an upward dog position. So the only difference between a cobra pose and upward dog is that the knees are going to come off the floor. To make it a little bit easier, we're going to tuck the toes under to give us a bit more height. So the hands begin underneath the shoulders. We breathe in, we lift the head, lift the chest, coming into our cobra position. I've got a bit of strength now through the arms as well. You could choose to stay here, or for those who want to give it a go, we're going to push through the feet and lift up into our upward dog, keeping that same back bend. If it's too much, knees to floor and a modified posture here. And then when you're ready, release, come back down. So upward dog requires a bit more of that core strength again, like our plank. You need to keep the lift in the belly to support the back. And relax. All right, let's come back onto the knees. Ease back into another easy child pose. And then we'll come up onto hands and knees. So now we're going to put everything into a little bit of a sequence. And it will mean we'll be moving from downward dog into some standing postures, towards a plank, a cobra, etc., back to a downward dog. So if you do want to readjust your screens to make it a bit easier for downward dog view and standing, you can do that. We'll also be doing three-legged dog. We'll start with our downward facing dog. So hands a little bit forwards from the shoulders. And if you find it all gets a bit too much, please feel free to come down into a cat pose at any time. So let's tuck the toes under, lift up into our downward dog, or you can stay in your cat. And just relax back, remembering that nice long spine. Head relaxed, looking at the feet. And we'll move to three-legged dog. So we're going to breathe the right leg up, keeping the hips as level as we can. So my toes are still pointing to the floor on that right foot. And then from here, we'll be taking a big step up with the right foot towards the hands into a lunge. So if you want to put your knee down first and then step up, that's also a good option. And we've got the back knee off the floor once we're in our final position. And we'll just stretch back through that left heel. I've got my gaze just at the top of the mat here. I'm trying to keep my front knee directly over my ankle. Now we'll be converting this up into a warrior position. So if you want to go a little bit wider with the back foot and pivot the heel down to make it easier to come upright, you can do that. Or you could keep the back heel off the floor for a little bit more balance, but we keep the front knee bent. All right, so ideally I want to try and ease my left hip forwards. And then depending on how the arms feel, you can inhale them all the way up towards the ceiling, or perhaps you could keep them at the heart center. And breathe in again, that beautiful open chest, open belly. And then we'll bring our arms down, taking the right arm underneath the left arm. So for those who can, eagle arms. I'm going for the hug because again, my shoulder's just not happy with a lot of things at the moment. But if you want to do eagle arms, that's that intertwine where the palms come close to each other. And I'm adding a little bit more of a back bend here. Don't have to overdo it. As we take the elbows maybe a little bit higher if you've got those eagle arms. And then on the next exhale, let's start to fold forward, still the arms in place, elbows on the inside of your right knee, and you get this beautiful opening into the back. Legs stay strong. And then releasing the hands back to a lunge position. So hands to floor. Now we'll take a big step back with that right foot, coming back to our downward dog or cat pose if you prefer. Or forearm downward dog if you want to get off the wrists. Now next bit, completely optional. You want to have a bit of fun, take the right leg up into the air again for our three-legged dog. Now you can hold it here, or you could do some little bunny hops as we take that leg higher. Now I'm not doing a great deal here because again, I'm still protecting my shoulder. So I'm just going to hold it. This is a little play to a handstand. And then we'll bring that leg back down. You probably feel a little bit more warm now, a bit more energetic. Let's come forwards into either our full plank or modified plank, whichever version you like. I'm doing the half one. And then transferring that through to up dog if you're in the full plank. And I'm just going into more of a cobra pose for a bit more support. And then we'll tuck the toes and releasing back to our downward dog. Head relaxed, shoulders relaxed. And then knees to floor, all the way down, have a rest. And that's our right side done. So noticing how the body's feeling, how the breath is. Would have got hopefully a little bit of blood moving with the hopping if you chose to do that. Like I said, everything is optional. And then we'll come back onto our hands and knees. And now you know what we're up for on the left side. So let's sit up, hands a little in front. Svanasana first, tuck the toes, breathe it up, exhale it back, and release shoulders away from the ears. So we'll move to three-legged dog, left leg lifting, but hips stay level, toes point to the floor, and just holding this position. We're going to transfer this through to a lunge. So you might want to take the gaze forwards as we take the left foot up all the way. Nice long lunge. Let me just try and get that knee lined up with the ankle. So readjust. Gaze to the top of the mat. Now, if you want to take that left heel down, then you can do that. And we'll press through the feet. We're going to breathe it all the way up to our warrior position. So keep the front knee bent. I'm trying to ease my right hip forwards. And then next breath in, let's bring the arms all the way up. So you could stay in a low lunge as well. If you want to keep the back knee on the floor, that is an option also. And remember, if it's not comfortable with the arms, you can always come to a prayer position. So let's bring the arms down to eagle arms, left arm underneath the right, either going for the modified version, which is what I have with the hug, or eagle, wrapping the arms around. Little back bend first, if it feels okay. So I'm just lifting the chest a bit more towards the ceiling. Breathing into the front open body. And then easing forwards on the exhale to elbows on the inside of the left knee and opening up the back body now. So just have a few breaths here. Let's release the hands back to the floor into our lunge. And then we'll be converting back to our downward dog. So I'm going to pivot my back foot around again and big step back. Finding that comfortable downward dog position. And then optional extra, if you wish, taking the left leg back to our three-legged dog, or coming to a rest, or starting to bend into that right knee and doing a little hops off the floor if it feels okay. So we're just getting used to taking weight into the arms, into the upper body. And then when you've had enough, bring that leg back down, coming back to our downward dog or a cat pose for rest. We'll find that little bit more core strength. So if you can, taking yourself into your plank or half plank. And then we'll roll it through into up dog or into a cobra. We're keeping that lift through the belly. And then up and back to our downward dog. And then releasing back to floor and rest. Let it all go. Maybe coming back to that intention that you might have made at the start of class. Trying to bring back that sense of calm or peace. And release. Okay, so that's one sequence, which was a little bit energetic. We're going to do another sequence now. This one will be using cow head arms. So where we take one arm behind the back and the other one behind the body. So if you've got a strap, perhaps, you could use a strap or a scarf, anything that, if you struggle to reach behind the back, which I certainly do at the moment, I can't get my right arm behind anymore. We're going to create that link instead. So, won't need it just yet because we've got to get to the standing position first, but if you want to have that nearby, have that nearby. If you need it, if you don't, awesome. I will start back with our downward dog. We can move back into a right-footed lunge, and then we'll be working into warrior two. So going sideways on our mat. So again, if you need to readjust your screens to accommodate that, we'll be using the long side of the mat rather than the short side for facing. All right. So from here, let's come into Svanasana, downward dog. So hands in front, tuck the toes, and then lifting up and back. The right foot will be stepping up towards the hands first. So let's bring that right leg up. We'll go for a slightly narrower lunge this time, rather than using both sides of the mat. And from here, we're going to pivot the left heel down onto the ground. So I've roughly got my front heel lined up now with the instep of my back foot. Keep the front knee bent, push the calf all the way up, and we should be set up for a warrior two position with our legs. So now I'm facing the long side of my mat. We're going to breathe the arms out over the feet. And I'm keep working the center of my kneecap towards those front right toes, middle toes if possible. Shoulders relaxed down, with a little softness in the elbows as well. Now, if you think you need a strap, we're going to be taking the right arm up into the air first for our cow head pose. So this is where you might want to put that strap in the right hand. And we'll extend the right arm up. Strap should come down behind the back. I'm going to reach the left arm behind. And if you can grab hold of the hands, awesome. But otherwise, grab that link if you need it. So we've still got that front right knee bent, legs are long. And we're leaning back just that little bit to the straight left leg. So we're opening up into the right ribs now. And then on the next exhale, begin to extend over that right leg. So it's just a little lean over. Keep pressing down through the left foot. Open the chest towards the front of your mat. Sorry, the long side of your mat. And then next breath, let's breathe it back up. So we'll release the arms. You can place the strap down on the ground. Once more, we'll take the arms out. Warrior number 2. Virabhadrasana. And then we'll move to reverse warrior. So we're going to take the left hand to the straight left leg. Inhale up the right arm. Take the gaze into the top palm. And we're not overdoing it here. So we want to just try and soften the face and relax. All right, coming back to our center. We're going to pivot all the way to face the front right foot. And we will come back to our lunge. So lifting that left foot back and up and over. So we're now facing the right foot in our long lunge. Now, optional extra here again, if you want, of doing those bunny hops. If you want to build up some heat and some energy, then walk the hands forwards, transfer the weight into the right foot, lift the left leg up. Now, if it's a bit tricky to reach the floor and you just don't want to do the bunny hops, use this as a bit of a stretch. You can have the hands higher on a brick. If you're happy to do the bunny hops, press the hands down. Keep that left leg straight as you do a little hop on the right foot. Again, I'm going to have to give it a miss. My shoulder doesn't like it. And then when you've had enough, step forwards. Knees soft. Let's fold into Uttanasana. So you can fold the arms. Relax the head. Let it all go. And then fingertips to floor. So we're now going to set up for the other side. And I might pivot around just so that I'm facing the camera when I do the other side. If you need to do that too, feel free to. Okay, so we're going to take right foot back into our nice long lunge. So you should have the left foot now in front. I'm going a bit narrower with my lunge this time. And I'm now going to bring my right foot heel down. I'm lining up my front heel with my back instep. Keep the left knee bent, breathe it all the way up, warrior 2. So we want to be facing the long side of the mat. And if you can, taking the arms out over the feet. Shoulders relaxed, elbows soft. I'm trying not to lean too far in one direction. I'm trying to keep my shoulders balanced over my hips. Now this is where you may need that scarf or strap. And now we're going to take the left arm up, bring the hand behind the body, right hand grabbing hold of what we can reach. And we're in our cowhead arms, normal Karasana arms. So it's just a little lean back to create that space in the left ribs. So I'm leaning towards my back, right leg, the straight leg. The left knee should still be bent. And then we'll go the other way. We'll exhale out over the left leg. I'm pressing strongly down through both feet, keeping that right foot especially grounded. All right, inhale, back up. Release the arms. Once more, come back to warrior two. I'm gonna have to leave that one down there. And then we'll move to reverse warrior. So I'm going to slide the right arm down the right leg, turn the palm to face the face on the left. Gaze into the left palm. And even though the legs are working strong, there shouldn't be a big back bend here or anything. Face should be relaxed. Think of bringing that calm into the face. All right, inhale it back to warrior two. And then we'll take both arms all the way over to the left foot, coming back to our lunge. So I'm now going to lift my back right foot over it and across. And this is where you get the option of either holding that one-legged stretch or bunny hop. So I'm going to walk my hands forwards, take my right leg off the floor. So you can either choose to hold it here or press the palms down and start to do those little bunny hops if you wish. You can just stay with a nice stretch. And then easing forwards with that right foot into Uttanasana, folding the arms, soft knees, allowing everything to settle. And breathing nice and slow all the way back up. All right, shake it off. So that's all the warm-ups that I would be looking, to do if I was preparing for headstand, shoulder stand, handstand, all that sort of stuff. So for those that it's safe for you to do those sorts of practices, you may want to pause the video and do that. And, off you go, handstands, headstands, etc. I won't be doing any of those because my shoulder just cannot cope with the weight bearing at the moment. So if you want to join me in an alternative, we'll do an alternative. Of course, one of the most favourite inversions for me is legs up the wall. And you can do legs up on a couch, a chair, etc. It doesn't have to be a wall. So that's a really good restorative one, and I can still do that with my shoulder. Shoulder stand, if you like shoulder stand, again, you could use your wall, just have a little bit of support under the shoulders. Otherwise, a supported bridge pose is another choice with bricks, etc. So either way, if you've got perhaps a blanket and you're going to join me for Viparita Karani, it's nice just to have, sort of something about that height. It doesn't have to be super high. You could use a bolster as well for a little bit more height to make it more of an inversion. And I just like to have that near my wall or my couch. So you can just put the legs up the couch on the chair. and I've got about a fist distance away from the wall. So it's just giving me a bit of space for my buttocks to drop into that gap, if you like. The tricky bit for most people getting into these postures is getting themselves lined up on their mat and really, really close to the wall. So I'm sitting just on the very edge of my support, the blanket here. I've got my right buttock right up on the wall already, so my left buttock cheek is as close to the wall as possible. I then bring my shoulders down as I roll the legs up. And now I've got my buttocks and all my legs on the wall. My lower back's just got a nice little bit of softness there, support. And the buttocks can drop into that space. So if you're on a couch, you know, it's quite nice. You can have the knees bent there and just let them rest on the couch. And this is Viparati Karani, so really nice alternative. And for those who've gone off and done their handstands, headstands, etc., you may now want to come into this position as a good counter for those more energetic inversions. Of course, please don't do headstand unless you've had an experienced teacher take you through that process and it's part of your regular practice. So once you've got that restive pose, and it could be you're in a supported bridge, come back to that awareness of breath. If you find that you start to get pins and needles in the feet, you can always, you know, wiggle the toes or the feet. But, you know, I've fallen asleep in this pose sometimes. It's a very safe one to spend quite a bit of time in. So the benefit of inversions is we're bringing the majority of the body above the heart, and the heart is above the head. So it just encourages all this venous blood to flow back and the lymphatic system to flow a little bit easier back towards the heart. And it can be quite restive. When we're comfortable in our inversions, it gives us a different perspective. Changes the pressure on the internal organ systems. And if we ever get back to long car drives and plane travel, then this particular pose, legs up the wall, is really, really good for reducing swelling in the legs and things like that when you travel. All right, to come back up, we just bend the knees, roll over to whichever side's going to be easiest for you to roll over to. And it's quite nice just to spend, you know, a couple of minutes there, allowing everything to settle, equalize before coming up. And it's always good to use both arms to come back up. I'm going to make my way back over to the mat. And we're looking to hopefully have that sense of calm that we were talking about at the start. So Now, a lot of energetic work for preparing for inversions, but you want to finish off with that calmness. You don't want to walk away all, buzzed out too much, which is why we always have a relaxation at the end. So I'm just sitting on the very edge of a blanket here to get that little bit of forward tilt on the pelvis. So we'll finish off with some forward bends. So I'll start with the legs out in front, Dandasana, and I'm drawing the feet back towards the face, lifting the kneecaps up, and I want a nice tall spine. Okay, so from here, we'll keep the right foot extended forward. So we're going to bend the left knee and then allow that knee to relax out to the side. You can place the heel anywhere along the inner thigh to the perineum to its own thigh. And if you want a bit more support for the hip or the knee joint, you can use a brick to support that joint as well. All right, so facing towards that right foot. And as we exhale, we're trying to fold from the hip creases. You could, hold on to the foot. You could also use your strap or scarf and place that around the foot as well. But we're not looking to force anything. We're just trying to relax and soften. So no stress. And maybe with each exhale, and as we soften that little bit more, we might move a millimeter closer. But you can see my elbows are really soft. I'm not sort of madly pulling on anything to get anywhere. I'm just trying to relax into it. And then on the next inhale, let's slowly make our way back up. So we'll take this into a twist. And we're going to bring that left knee up. Now you can keep it on the same side, or you might like to bring that foot across to the other side if that works for you. Going for a closed twist today, so we'll twist to our left side. You can place the hand on the outside of the right knee, bring the left hand behind. Inhale, get that length. And then on the exhale, turn through the belly, through the ribs. And then we lastly take the head and the gaze around to the left. Some of you might be comfortable to then lift that right elbow up and over, and you can hook it to the outside of the knee if that feels good for you. And then we'll breathe it back to center, unravel the leg, and we'll change sides. So I'm going to bend that right knee and then take that knee out to the side. And if you want, you can place something around that left foot for the forward bend. So Janushirasana. So some people sometimes get a sore ankle. You could pack something underneath there, like some socks, or I've just put my scarf there to add a little bit more padding for the ankle joint if you like as well. So we're folding from the hips, easing forwards. I'm trying to keep both shoulders level as I relax into the pose. So no forcing, soft pace. And on our next breath in, making our way back up. And from here, we'll bring that right knee up. Either keep it here for the twist or crossing it over if that's comfortable. We'll bring that right hand behind and then begin to turn to the right. Next breath in, we'll come back to center, uncross, give it a shake out, and that's pretty much it for all of our posture work. If you do want to give your back a little bit more massage, you can take the knees into the chest and go for a little roll around on the floor. Otherwise, while you're up, perhaps grabbing something warm, putting that on, and getting comfortable for relaxation. Today we're going to do relaxation on peace. So finding that beautiful pose where you get stillness in the body. Whether it's lying down or seated, main thing is resist the urge to move. And then once you've got that comfortable position, notice the weight of the body on the floor. Be conscious of all of the sounds. Just letting the mental chatter dissolve. Letting the thoughts go, no attachment, no judgment. Perhaps coming back to that intention of I am calm, I am peaceful. I've created time for myself. Letting go of all those external sounds. Feeling the body supported, safe, cradled by the earth. Softening and relaxing all the muscles, the fibers, the tissues, the bones. And feel the front of your body sinking into the back of the body. And this is your time, just for you, to step away from your day and focus on the sensation and quality of peace. So now take a moment to recollect a memory, something that made you smile. Perhaps it was just stroking a pet or looking at something beautiful in nature. Just try to visualize that memory in your mind. Relive that moment. And lingering on the feeling associated with it. Let that sensation or feeling filter into the body.
And don't worry if nothing comes to mind, just sit with the idea of being open to change or sensations. So we just want to let go of judgment. Be in this moment and enjoying that memory and how it made you feel. You may feel a warmth spread across the body, softening, almost like melting. And now begin to smile. Just a small smile to soften the muscles of the face. Imagine that you are allowing that smile to flow down your whole body. Direct the smile into your face, the head and neck. Let it move across the collarbones and down the right arm into the fingertips. Down the left arm into the fingertips. And then into the chest and abdomen. Into the hips and pelvis. Down the right leg. And then all the way down the left leg. Feel as if your entire body is smiling. Feeling content, at peace, in harmony. And returning to the breath, noticing that gentle, reassuring rhythm of the breath. And each exhale takes you deeper into relaxation. And now picture a flower bud. The petals are tightly curled. Take a breath in, and as you exhale, imagine the petals of the flower, one by one, begin to open. With each exhale, another petal unravels. Delight at the magic of this beautiful flower and the power within you to enable this flower bud to bloom. Slowly, gradually, with each exhale, observe the flower opening. And at the same time, sense an expansion of release and a deep sense of peace through your mind and body. Almost as if you were giving yourself permission to open to let go. And continue for as long as you wish. You control the opening of the petals. So on this occasion, if you prefer the petals a little closed, that is fine. There is no right or wrong. Enjoy this time, savoring the beauty of the flower. You choose the color of the petals and the type of flower. Gently opening up and letting go. And then when you are ready to finish the practice, begin to close the petals of the flower with your exhale. As you breathe out, each petal softly closes, but not as tightly as before. There is a loosening between the petals, and you notice a correlation with your body. A little more open, a little softer, looser than before. And as you give a few moments, allowing the petals to gently come back together, sense the peace within you, around you, and beyond you. Knowing that you will continue your day feeling lighter, softer, calmer, and more centered. So now be aware of the coolness of the breath on the inhale, and that gentle warmth of the breath on the exhale. Now begin to notice the sounds within the room you are in. Be aware of the sounds outside your room. As we begin to open up our external awareness, perhaps sigh the next breath out. begin to move into the body however it wants to move, whether it's the hands, the feet, or stretching through the arms or the legs, whatever feels right. Perhaps rolling over to one side. And then finding your way up to sit comfortably. So this week's quote is again from Sadhguru, who says, every moment of your life, you perform action, physically, mentally, emotionally, and energy-wise. Each action creates a certain memory. That is karma. We'll bring the hands together. Namaste. And we all look forward to getting out of the walk down and back to face-to-face classes here in New South Wales.